All right, Super Bowl loss 31-9 to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They were prevented, the Chiefs were, from winning 2 in a row. Patrick Mahomes addressed yesterday motivation that comes not from winning the Super Bowl, but from losing it. Here he is.
The first year that I started, we lost to the Patriots in the AFC Championship game. I mean, you have to let that stuff motivate you to get better each and every day. And so you look back at that, and we were able to find a way to kind of flip a switch and make ourselves better and make a run at the Super Bowl the next year. And you have to try to have that same mentality of knowing that we've been there 2 years in a row now. We've won one, we lost one, but we have to find a way to get back and try to win it.
How much have you watched of that Super Bowl game, going back and watching the tape? And is there anything that you've taken away from that game that you've kind of incorporated into your offseason plans as far as getting ready for next season? And Brad, one quick follow-up if I can.
Yeah, I mean, I've watched it, I think, 2 times, kind of watched 2 times and then kind of moved on from it. I'm sure I'll watch it more in the virtual offseason that we have going. Just having to continue to take what's there. I think there was times in the game where maybe we were down in the game and I try to scramble and make a play happen when I didn't have to. They were playing a lot of deep coverages, and I probably could have handed it off on some of the RPO type options that we had. And then at the end of the day, we just got to execute at a higher level as an offense. And so I know the guys are motivated to come back and do whatever we can this offseason, whenever that is, and to make ourselves the best team we possibly can.
I'm surprised he watched it twice.
I'd have a hell of
a time getting myself to watch it once.
Right.
Wouldn't you?
Yeah, that's not easy. When you lose a game like that, you know, you've worked so hard to get there and you lose it that way. It's gut-wrenching to sit there and watch it back. It really is. It's the worst thing you can do as an athlete in that big playoff, whatever, national championship, you know, one and done type of deal. To go back and watch those games, it is brutal. You hate to relive it and go through it all, and, you know, good for him for watching it twice and learning from it.
This dovetails with what we discussed yesterday as it relates to Trevor Lawrence, the chip on his shoulder or lack thereof, the adversity that he has yet to face because he's lived a charmed football life so far. You do have to find motivation in your losses, in your disappointments. That's what Patrick Mahomes is doing. That's what he's learning. And you do get motivated more by being thrown off the top of the mountain than by being able to plant a flag in the top of it. That's natural. That's human nature. And I think that through the adversity that Trevor Lawrence undoubtedly will experience at some point in the NFL, the question is how much of that becomes the fuel,
right,
to keep pushing, to keep fighting, because you're competing against, as we said yesterday, others who are motivated by those same things. And at the end of every year, there's always going to be 31 teams whose players are motivated by the fact that the season didn't end the way they wanted it to.
Yeah, no, I mean, you're right. I mean, this is going to be some challenge this year for the Kansas City Chiefs football team. It is. You know, first off, we're going into the 4th year in a row where it's like, whoa, deep playoff run. Everybody, you're the biggest show in football, basically. I mean, that happened Mahomes' first year as a starter about 3 or 4 games in. They became the hottest ticket in the league. And, whoa, we got to see Mahomes, the Chiefs. This is unbelievable. AFC Championship game, 2 Super Bowl games. Now, you know, how deep can they go in the playoffs, you know, once again? They have tremendous self-confidence. That's the one thing about the Chiefs that always jumps out to me. The belief in, you know, themselves as a player, and then their belief as a team that they can get it done no matter who's out there against them, whatever that may be. But this will be some sort, you know, tough challenge. Him coming off an injury, you know, them being the king and knocked off the pedestal. It's been 3 tough football seasons. You know, the human tendency to just take your foot off the gas a little bit, does that happen this offseason? You know, I don't know. But I was real confident last year going, the Chiefs will be back in the Super Bowl. Like, I was saying that pretty early on. This year, I don't know. After a loss, I'm not sure if I feel the same way. I know they'll be there and in the mix of things, but I'm not as confident just to say they're going to be back in the Super Bowl.
We saw the Patriots 8 straight years get to the AFC Championship game, and when you get to that level, some years you get to the Super Bowl, some years you win it, some years you don't get to the Super Bowl.
Right.
But the Patriots set that template for 8 years. The Chiefs have made it for 3 years. I think the real challenge for this team now, Chris, is growing as an offense beyond what we saw in Super Bowl 55, because there were flaws there.
Yeah.
Can they figure out how to address those flaws so Patrick Mahomes isn't running, 525 yards behind the line of scrimmage before he threw the football or got sacked in Super Bowl 55 with that bad toe? What are they going to do to balance out the offense? Maybe run it a little bit more. Maybe they need to do that. Maybe this is the old Andy Reid flaw rearing its ugly head, that even with Patrick Mahomes, you can't be so skewed toward the passing game that you don't run it nearly enough to keep a defense off balance. But they need to go back to the lab and ask themselves, are we teetering on the brink of just going back to how we used to be pre-Mahomes? Or are we really going to be able to sustain this greatness where we are in the AFC Championship game every year that this guy's our quarterback?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's the million-dollar question. And, you know, we talk about, like, that great confidence they have, self-confidence at each player and all that. I do think that got them in trouble in the Super Bowl. I do. A gift and the curse, right? That whole, like, thing there. Yeah, their great confidence and cockiness and everything like that. You know, you heard Mahomes there. They got greedy. I'm going to look for big plays. We kept calling big plays to go down the field and do that, even though they were playing defenses to stop that. You know, so they definitely have to go back to the lab, Mike, whether that's just infuse a little bit more running game or something that I don't think that's really realistic, like you just said. I mean, that's not Andy Reid. He's not going to all of a sudden change and go, let's run it 27 times a game between the tackles and pull. I don't think he's going to do that. So that's where I go into, you're right, Mike, like get back in the lab and find new ways to dissect people in the pass game, a little bit like we talked about at that time. Get another route runner to run short routes underneath, Julian Edelman style, Wes Welker style. Have something like that paired along with Kelsey and Clyde Edwards-Helaire coming out of the backfield and doing that. With now you got Tyreek and McCole Hardman to stretch the field. But I do think they have to find a new approach. And, Mike, you bring up the Patriots too, right? And the motivation and the thing like that. The one thing I'll say, when it comes to being like successful year in and year out and all of those type of things, you got to be into yourself. You got to self-scout. You can't be motivated by everybody else every week, right? There's got to be like, what are we doing better? We're going to compete against ourselves, and we're going to get better. We have this flaw. We got to fix that. That was something that really jumped out to me in New England in my time there. There wasn't no much like bulletin board material. It was more like, wait, we did this last week, and we got to fix it this week to be better. And I think there is something to that in fact, of being able to stay on top of the mountain for a long time.
I think the flaw in Kansas City, the biggest flaw is that because Patrick Mahomes is so special and so skilled and so able to pull a rabbit out of his hat or some other orifice like he did with that jet chip wasp play in Super Bowl 54 when it looked lost, when they're down 10 with 7 minutes to go against the 49ers. I feel like too often the Chiefs are just kind of waiting around for Mahomes to make save magic.
Them,
instead of being more proactive about making things work. Well, if all else fails, Patrick will save our ass. Well, sometimes yes, sometimes no. Sometimes you got to help him, and you just can't wait for him to make magic, especially when he's running around on a bad foot and he's got backup offensive linemen, and we're not doing anything to help the offensive linemen buy time for him. He can't make magic under those circumstances.
Speaks to your point. I mean, Mike, I think you kind of just explained it right there. They went into that game, that Super Bowl game, one with like not getting into the lab and having a different, approach to the game altogether. But I think you're exactly right. They went into that game going, wait, their front four is awesome. And they sacked Aaron Rodgers and, that good offensive line in Green Bay a few times. But we got Mahomes. He'll dance and move and figure it out and try into some way. You're right. I think it was part of their cockiness and their casual approach to the game a little bit was, hey, we haven't lost a game in a long time. We got Mahomes, and we're going to do what we do to win a football game. But as we see, there's always kryptonite in every team, for the NFL, and they ran into it. And really, what he's doing right here, watching these clips.
It really is. It really is unbelievable.
It's with a noticeable limp.
It really is.
A noticeable limp. And, like, Kristen, I wanted to know if you could go back to, like, this is how bad you know he's hurt. One of the first highlight packages we showed today, he was on the ground in that game, and he was looking, he put his hand up because he was looking for one of the Bucs to help him up, like, pick me up, like, because his toe was hurting so much that it hurt to get off the ground. But it's amazing just watching it there, right again. He's truly a magic man.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.